You're listening to the Focus Fork podcast. My name is John Hoff, and I am your host, and I help busy professionals ditch dieting and learn how to lose weight by simply learning how to eat a proper amount of foods that they already like eating based on the amount of movement they do in their day. So if you're ready to make lasting change and sustainable weight loss happen for you, then you, my friend, are in the right place and listening to the right podcast. Let's get started. All right. Welcome to the podcast, everyone. So today it's going to be a little bit of a shorter one. And that's because this is like from a recording that I've already done in the past. And it was on social media, but it was a longer kind of video that I did. And I mean, most people on Facebook and Instagram aren't watching 9-minute videos, and I get it, but the information is super relevant to what we're doing here. And I think it's a little easier to kind of just listen to it on a podcast and sit there and watch a 9-10 minute video. And it's basically about how do we, after you eat, okay, let me ask you this. So do you ever find that when you eat a meal that you get tired afterwards? So whatever you eat, you're like, okay, great. This should energize me. I'm hungry. But after you eat it, you're like, oh, I didn't even overeat, but I still have, it zapped the energy out of me. I'm tired. I can't do anything. Now I'm getting brain fog. And it's really weird because you didn't necessarily overeat. Perhaps you did, but in many cases you don't, but your energy goes away. So why is that? Okay, there's a number of reasons why that could be, and I recorded this video a little while back on it, so I'm going to replay that here for you. One of them that I didn't mention, because there's a lot of reasons. You know, we're all different, and what causes somebody to not have energy after they eat could be different from person to person, right? Now, kind of universally out there that I think that we all need to pay attention to, and I didn't really mention in the video, but it's sleep. If you're not getting good sleep, I mean, I'm sure I don't need to convince you that everything in life is harder. If you're tired because you didn't get good sleep, then your body has to work extra hard at everything that it does. And that includes digesting your food. So I want to add on top of what I'm going to talk about following this part here, when I replay what I posted before, is remember that you need to get good sleep. All right. Okay. So without further ado, without further ado, there we go. I think I said it right. We're going to roll that tape. It's a video. You know what? I'll put a link to the video in the show notes, just in case you want to actually see me talk about it on video. But if you rather listen to it here, I got you covered right here. All right, let's roll that video. If you're finding that after you eat food, your energy is just going down, and maybe you get brain fog, maybe you feel like you just need to go lay down, you're tired or whatever, and you're like, geez, eating food should give me energy to go do things, then watch this video. So I did a video just the other day about how if you go to the gym and you work out too hard, then you can kind of be shooting yourself in the foot, because if you work out too hard and you come home, what happens? You might want to just like then sit on the couch and not do anything. Man, I worked out so hard today. I just need to lay down and not do anything. Well, that's not very helpful, is it? Because we still need to be able to move during the day to burn a little bit of calories, right? So what about the food aspect of things? If you're eating certain foods and they're making you feel tired and you can't go out and go grocery shopping today, or you were going to do that yard work, but now because you ate some food and you're feeling tired, you're just like, oh, I'll do it another day, or maybe I can get somebody else to do it for me or something, then that's not really helpful, is it? I mean, after all, my freaking company name is the Focused Fork, right? We want to keep our focus going and our energy high. And so if you're eating and you're finding that, then here's a couple of reasons why. Now, I wrote down some bullet points here to make sure I hit on some things. The first one was, it could be that you're spiking up blood sugar. Now, I used to be known as my low carb coach. I helped people who wanted to go on a low carb diet lose weight. So I know a lot about low carb, about spiking glucose, and then the drops and those kinds of things. And although I show people how to lose weight without having to go on a low carb diet, but the fact does remain that if you're eating something that is highly processed, well, let's just say it just has a lot of sugar in it that's going to spike your glucose. Okay. So if your glucose, your blood sugar goes up, what goes up must come down, right? So if this is baseline and you eat a donut, then you're going to go like this. And if you don't use that energy, so if you don't go for a walk or lift weights or move in some kind of way, if you don't use the energy, maybe you just sit down and get on the computer, right? Or sit down and do a social media post. Your blood sugar goes up from eating that donut, but then it drops down past baseline and it dips. And when it dips, you get tired. And then when you get tired and your blood sugar dips, your body, your mind, your nervous system, all these things are looking to bring the energy back up. And a lot of times it does that by making you hungry. And so we want to maybe be cognizant of that. Okay. So that's one thing. That's one reason why you might be eating and then your energy level is kind of tanking a little bit. Another one is, okay, if you eat a large meal. So if you're going out to, let's say, lunch or something, and you're eating this huge meal, and then you come back from that meal and you got to go back to work or something. I mean, have you ever eaten a big meal? Think like Thanksgiving. When you eat at Thanksgiving, you have this huge meal. What are you after you're done eating that big meal? Tired, right? Now, the turkey has something called tryptophan in it, which I don't really need to get into. Tryptophan can kind of trigger you to get tired. I'm not talking about that in this particular instance. I just mean the volume of food, because if you eat a lot of food, what can happen then is that your body needs to digest that food, and it needs to draw blood down into the area to start digesting the food. And you might not be getting as much of the blood flow going to the brain. And in that case, if you don't have as much blood flow going to the brain, you might get a little bit tired. All right. So be careful of the large meals. This is why when people join my free 3-day action plan, the Jumpstart Weight Loss Action Plan, which you can get at focusedforkreset.com/free. I teach people an ancient kind of method of paying attention to how much food you're eating, okay? And you need to be able to stop before you fill yourself up too much. All right, so make sure you get into that if you're not there. Another one I wrote down here are high-fat foods. Okay, so if you're eating a lot of high-fat foods, just think like, a lot of butter, or maybe it's food that has a lot of fat in it or something. Just pay attention on how these things are making you feel. Because if it's making you feel, if you notice that every time you eat kind of like a lot of fatty kind of foods, or you're throwing a lot of butter in, what could be happening is fat takes a little bit more energy to break down. Okay. It's not like the sugar in a donut, that the carbs, the simple carbohydrates that can just like kind of break down real fast. If you're consuming something like fat, then fat is a whole different process breaking down in your body. And it might take a lot of energy for your gut to start breaking down and everything. So pay attention to that. These are all just things, by the way, to pay attention to. I'm not saying that these ones are the specific ones that is maybe causing you to eat, and after you eat, I should say, for your energy to go down. But they're ones to watch for and to test for. All right, another one, dehydration. So dehydration can affect the digestion of your food, all right? If you don't have enough water in you, if you're not hydrated properly, honestly, nothing works great, okay? If you're dehydrated, even mildly dehydrated, it can affect things like your thinking. It can affect things like food digestion. So make sure you're drinking enough water. Make sure that you're hydrating good enough, okay? Sensitivity to different foods, gluten and dairy, right? That's the big ones that a lot of people are sensitive to. If you have now I'm not saying allergic, because you're probably going to know if you eat something and you're allergic to it. But if you have a sensitivity, so my aunt had told me like a few years ago, she was eating and she's always feeling tired after she ate. And what she did was she started testing things. I'm like, that's awesome, beautiful. And she took gluten out of her diet. And she noticed when she stopped eating gluten, her energy came back even after she would eat. So she has a sensitivity to gluten. And so pay attention to if you have a certain sensitivity to certain kinds of foods, you might want to test some things out. Sometimes maybe it's eggs, right? Low stomach acid. This is a tricky one because a lot of times we think that we actually have too much stomach acid. And it's like I said, it's very tricky because what happens is when you have low stomach acid, you can actually get acid reflux by having low stomach acid. And it tricks you. So then you think, well, I need to take an antacid and lower my stomach. Like I have too much stomach acid, so I have to lower it. But really the symptoms are very similar to having too much stomach acid. So now you're going to have to look at what's happening there, okay? If you have low stomach acid, you might need to take something that is going to help you digest your food better, some enzymes, some betaine with hydrochloric acid in it, or something to help break down the your food. Because low stomach acid means not breaking down food very efficiently. And then the last one I wrote down, which I don't want to get too much into because it can get very technical, but gut dysbiosis, basically meaning your gut bacteria, okay, your stomach, the bacteria in your stomach that breaks down the food and everything. If it's not in a great state, if you have a hostile, bacteria, bad bacteria in there, not very good bacteria, then you could be having some issues with digesting food. So, probiotics and stuff might be able to help there and things like that. Okay. So these are things to try, check them out. If you're eating food and your energy's going down, try testing a few different things and seeing if they help. Now, if you want to join my free 3-day Jumpstart weight loss course, it's free. Did I mention it's free? Go to focusforkreset.com/free. You can get it for free. I'll walk you through on video, step by step, what I want you to do. Just start losing weight in a way that you don't have to go on a freaking diet to lose weight. And it's tailored to kind of fit into your life so you don't have to change everything out there in the world, all right? When it comes to the foods that you eat. All right, I'll catch you in another video.